What's up everyone, I'm Twisted. Today we're going to take a look at a brand new motion comic titled What We Face. This is likely the last piece of lore we're getting in Season 2 and also in 2026 as a whole. As with each day that passes it becomes more evident that Season 3 will be themed after an alternate universe. This comic is taking place after the last cinematic, which itself takes place after the previous comic. In that comic we saw Vayne exploring the Wyldwoods of Demacia, after receiving a letter from an old friend asking for help dealing with the demon. In return, he promised to reveal some truth about her parents. The demon eventually takes over Vayne just as Locke shows up. Then, in a cinematic, we see him exorcising the demon out of her, meaning this Vayne skin existed in the lore for even less time than this version of Victor.
Demons don't feed on scraps. They crave a meal they can gorge on. Come on, Shauna! Fight it! Grief. Rage. The lies people tell themselves. They all make for a feast.
The new comic starts with a demon being exorcised, getting sucked into Locke's totem. He narrates about how demons crave a large meal, in Vayne's case grief and rage, the lies she tells herself, as we'll learn later in this comic. If you're wondering how exactly this totem works, well, we don't really know. To lock up a demon, you usually need to know their name, as knowing a spirit's true name allows you to hold some power or control over it. Locke, however, seems to be capturing them some other way, which is not explored here. Riot Kindlejack did say that the totem is made out of Noxian runic iron. I assume he's talking about the same material used for Riven's sword or Kyanic Rukern for Arcane, but I'm not 100% sure. However, what kind of magic is used in Locke's case, he didn't mention.
Shauna Vayne. I almost don't recognize her. But I still remember her laugh. The carefree way she moved. That girl is gone now. She'd rather die than face what's real. But I won't let that happen.
Here we get a small inconsistency, as in the cinematic Vayne was awake after the exorcism, but here she passes out. Locke reminisces about his time with Vayne when they were younger, which we saw in the previous comic. Locke carries Vayne to Nilah's house, the same one we saw in the previous comic when Vayne arrived at the outskirts of the Wyldwoods, and also during the flashback.
Corvin? Where?
Crossbow's on your left. You were holding on to it like a grudge.
She was in fact holding on to it in the previous panels.
What happened?
You wandered too far into the Wyldwoods, and a demon took the reins.
Comforting. This is Niles' manor. Why bring me here?
In the background we can see a portrait of a younger Niles, but it's hard to say who's next to him. If we assume this is young Vayne, then the two people behind her would be her parents. A bit odd to have a portrait of yourself in another family, but as we'll see, Niles was somewhat close to them.
It was close, well warded. It's safe enough, despite the mess. Why are you back, Shauna?
He wrote me a letter.
Who did? Niles?
He said a demon was loose.
The previous page as well as this one is mostly both of them catching each other up on what happened in the previous comic, so nothing new for us. We see Niles with Vayne and Locke when they were younger. Again, we also saw this in the previous comic. I believe this is here to show us how close they used to be a long time ago. Worth noting that Locke only mentions Niles by name, so I think I was wrong when I interpreted them being related in my video about the previous comic.
Promised answers about my parents if I came.
And you believed him?
He was there for us when Father got sick. They'd talk for hours by the fire, night after night. I thought, if anyone knew something, it would be Niles.
And here we're going back to the secret behind Vayne's parents, which was teased in the previous comic. This will be the major reveal of this season.
Niles wasn't wrong about the demon. Just about who needed saving.
Saving? You mean exorcising? With spell work and black magic.
That's an odd way to say thank you. And, this isn't spell work. It's scar tissue. I didn't choose this. She did.
Your mother? All that training and studying was for this?
It was tradition. Her dream, not mine. And I wasn't the only one.
So, there's more of you.
Most didn't make it. Things happen. But hey, someone needed to be the chosen one. Lucky me.
Guess you had, what? The right temperament.
More like I hadn't learned to say no to my elders yet.
And now we are finally learning about Locke's past. We learned that Locke's mother was part of some sort of group or circle or, well, cult, a new faction for the region of Demacia. I asked Riot Kindlejack about them and he simply replied that they are exiled mages. This group is one whose traditions include branding children with some kind of symbols. I assume there's likely magic involved in some way, especially since you can see that not every child makes it out alive, and we see Locke's scars lit up, which is weird because Locke says these are scars and not spellwork. I guess these could be scars left by magic and not actually magic, but if they no longer have magic on them, like Locke says, then what's the point of them? Like, this has to be part of a magic ritual, perhaps branding children with protective sigils, not too far from what happened to Mel. But how would that not be considered spellwork? Unless he means it's not spellwork in the sense that it's not magic he's wielding to exorcise demons, just something he has passively on him. And he says these are only scars, but we can see a needle and some liquid being used. So are these really scars or just magical tattoos like Rise? Maybe both? Okay, so while editing I realized something. Maybe this liquid is actually patricite. That would explain why some children didn't make it. If these children were mages, then patricite would literally be killing them. This would also explain why Riot Kindlejack keeps saying that Locke is not a mage. That's how he was able to survive this. But grain of salt, this is just speculation. Either way, this was teased in the previous comic, and this was also why Locke had his skin covered up, including his arms. His family was hiding his scars. We can also notice the clothes these people are wearing, which are the same as Niles, confirming he was part of the same group as Locke's mother.
You make it sound like it was nothing.
It was. Eventually.
I can't believe your own mother did this to you. But that's what black magic does. It tempts. It corrupts.
Here we see Vayne feeling bad for Locke after learning what happened to him, which explains her voice line about never knowing the pain he felt. But of course he goes right back to hating on black magic. She can't let go of these feelings, as Locke will say in the next panels.
It destroyed my parents.
She's still carrying the same grief that invited the demon. It's all based on a lie.
Here we see the spectrum of emotions again, the concept that inspired the skins we saw in Act 1. It's somewhat implied in Locke's bio and voice lines that his glasses allow him to see this spectrum, hence why we are seeing it here. this is likely his perspective.
The magic was meant to protect people, at first. You know what lurks in these woods. But there were some who drew that darkness to themselves through the occult or worse. They would come here to be cleansed. Mostly nobles. People like your parents.
We learned that whatever this group was doing had to do with protecting people from the demons of the Wyldwoods. So again, the scars on Locke's body could work in a similar way to the sigils of Mel, granting him some kind of protection against the demons. And finally, we get the big reveal. We learn that some people would attract said demons through the occult or worse, as Locke says. Those people would then come to this place to be cleansed. Most of these were nobles, like Vayne's parents, implying that this is why her parents were there. Vayne's parents meddled with dark magic or something similar, and that's how Evelynn found them and murdered them. The comic is still somewhat vague about what actually happened though. We don't know if they were just using dark magic or if, for example, they were part of Evelynn's cult. Whatever the case might be, Vayne's father got sick, as she says, and so they came to this place to be cleansed. This was all teased in the previous comic, with Niles mentioning the healings her parents came to receive, as well as saying that they meddle with powers they didn't understand. And in that comic we saw that Vayne understood what Niles said, even without him being explicit. Even if we the readers didn't know the truth yet, she did. And that's why she lost control of her emotions and attracted the demon. She did not want to believe the truth that Niles told her, and she will keep denying it in the following panels of this comic.
You're wrong.
Wish I were.
My parents were good people. My father was sick and needed treatment.
Demacia's capital is full of healers, good ones. Think, Shauna, why come all the way out here? Niles couldn't face the truth either. No matter how many times I cleansed him, it ate him alive. And it's doing the same to you.
I'm nothing like him.
Now this panel confused me, as I'm not sure what truth Niles couldn't face. Not only did he knew about Vayne's parents and what they were doing, but he was also part of the group that was trying to cleanse them. So what truth was Niles not accepting? He did say that he and Vayne's parents failed her, so not telling her the truth seems to be what was eating him alive. But I'm not sure the wording supports that. I wouldn't describe that as him not facing the truth. The way this is worded seems to imply that, like Vayne, Niles couldn't accept that Vayne's parents were dealing with some dark magics or demons. But that doesn't really make sense if Niles knew about the cleansing and was even part of the group that was cleansing them. Anyways, Locke also mentions that he cleansed Niles multiple times, as we saw in the last comic that was to no avail, as his inability to accept the truth, whatever that may be, still attracted the demon.
You let rage take you until a demon wore your skin. If I hadn't been there, you'd be dead. Those people you're avenging, they weren't the parents you needed them to be. And they're still hurting you. Face this, or it kills you.
I don't need a chaperone.
Good thing I'm not offering. She's still carrying it, but she doesn't have to be consumed by it. I won't let that happen to her. Road's open to everyone. I'm just walking it too. Most people never face the truth. She might not either. But I'll be there to take care of her. One way or another.
The big reveal of this season is that Vayne's parents were not the people she thought they were. She spent her whole life obsessing over their murder, pursuing demons and anyone using dark magic, when in reality her parents were also using dark magic, and that's how they ended up being killed by a demon. This should have major consequences for her character. But well, the season's over, so we're not going to see that getting explored anytime soon. She is still denying that truth, to some extent, but at least now she has a man to help her. great. If you couldn't tell, I am a bit disappointed by this comic, and well, by this season. It feels like we got a lot of setup but no real payoff, almost like nothing actually happened. Okay, this isn't true. The truth about Vayne's parents is quite major, and can lead to some really interesting explorations of her character. But for some reason this was not the focus of this season. The focus ended up being her skin, Vayne being possessed by a demon, which lasted like 5 minutes, and Locke, who we barely got to know. Side tangent, but since Locke's powers weren't relevant for this story, we ended up not learning much about them. Which is fine for this story, I guess, but at the same time it feels weird to not explore them at all. But to be honest, when content creators said his powers were turning him into ashes, and then that wasn't mentioned in his bio or voice lines, I knew this detail was just flavor for his visual effects and abilities in-game, and wasn't going to be something important in the lore. That's just modern League of Legends lore for you. Anyways, going back to the lore of this season, I noticed that there's no arc in this story. No character actually changes. I mean, Vayne may be a bit closer to accepting the truth, but that's about it. It wasn't even her defeating the demon which was the embodiment of her not accepting the truth. It was Locke. And I really dislike this ending. This part about Locke caring so much about Vayne and wanting to protect her just rubs me the wrong way. Maybe because we barely got to see the two together. We had one flashback, one fight scene, and one moment of them actually talking. It just wasn't enough for me to be invested in their relationship to the point that this ending just feels forced. Why does Locke care so much about Vayne? We do know the answer, but it was given to us on a very surface level. Don't get me wrong, the art of this season was gorgeous, the skins were cool, the voice acting, the visual effects, the sound effects, the music, it was all fantastic, but in terms of narrative, we really needed a bit more here. It feels like we only got half the story we should have. Because we technically did. This season was cut short to make room for season 3, which again will likely not have anything to do with the lore. So yes, I am a bit disappointed, even though my expectations weren't really that high. But with the lore of season 1 and 2 now behind us, we can all at least wonder about the same thing. What the hell was happening in Sona's scenes in this cinematic? But what do you think? Were you satisfied with the lore of this season? Do you wish we had gotten more? Maybe more lore about the demons? Or do you simply not care? Let me know down below. And consider subscribing if you haven't already. It's free and you can always change your mind later. I'm Twisted and I'll see you guys in the next video.